guys, welcome to Silicon Valley Girl. Everyone keeps talking about the upcoming recession, which is technically now happening because a lot of economists define recession as something that happens when the GDP shrinks for 2 consecutive quarters, which has already happened, and we see more and more news about big companies hitting the brakes on hiring. Alphabet, Google's parent company, will slow hiring for the rest of the year and prioritize engineering and technical talent. Shopify announced that it would lay off 10% of its workforce as part of a restructuring plan. Microsoft announced it was eliminating many job offerings. Finally, Robinhood Markets, the popular brokerage app, announced that it will cut about 23% of its workforce because of reduced customer trading activity. On the one hand, the technical definition of recession, the shrinking GDP for 2 quarters, is already happening. But the experts also like to look at the other factors like unemployment, which are okay right now, but with these news that I just mentioned, I don't know what's gonna happen. And number 2, consumer spending, which is again not raising alarm bells right now. But we'll see what happens later. Some people predict the recession will actually happen in the last quarter of 2022 or the first quarter of 2023. When something like this happens in the world, I always ask myself a question: what can I do to learn from it? What can I do for business or for my family this year in order to make sure that when this happens again, and it would definitely happen, the economy operates in cycles, so we'll definitely have a lot more recessions coming in our lives. But the more we have them, the more experienced we become. So I decided to focus on recession-proof jobs in this video, because if something happens to your job in 2022 or 2023, then this video and the list of jobs that I'm going to name in this video will create something actionable for you. I want to start with some story time, as always, just a quick story from my own experience. So we have a business, a study abroad business, and when you have something related to travel, oh my God, when recession hits, it affects something that people can survive without. And travel is something people can definitely survive without. So we were hit by recession twice, we were hit by COVID, and the first time it hit, I was like, I don't want to be focused on travel only, and this is why we started developing online language learning things, because this is how you learn, right? The first recession hits and you're like, I'm the dumbest person in the world because I focus on this and now I can't really operate my business, or I lost my job. But it's actually a good thing that it happened earlier in your life because you can act on it. All right, the list of recession-proof jobs is here. Number 1, healthcare professional. People get sick regardless of the economy, and COVID was actually an event when we were running out of healthcare professionals. And it doesn't mean that you have to switch your education to becoming a doctor. Anyone who works in healthcare. I have a friend who started a company that supplies nurses to hospitals and CVS's and Walgreens. His company took off during COVID. So if your job is related to healthcare, again, you don't have to be a doctor, you don't have to be a nurse. You're more or less safe during the recession. By the way, there are 588,000 registered nurse jobs on Indeed.com. The average salary for a family physician doctor is around $200,000 a year, and the average hourly pay for a nurse is $31 an hour. And the next job is where I see a lot of potential because of all the digitalization that is happening in this world. Educators. Now, I love teaching, and if I was born 100 years ago, I would probably teach at a university, or like 50 years ago, I would teach at a university or at school. I love teaching. You see this, right? I love talking to people. And one of my relatives is a professor in the US, and his life is amazing. Has this insurance, he's a 10-year professor, which means they can't fire him. He lives an amazing life. But when I look at this, I see that he's actually limited by his university. With YouTube, oh my God, I love this. Like, there is no limit. I started this channel, I started another channel, I started TikToks, I'm experimenting, we're launching courses and building companies around this, and I'm doing what I love. I'm talking to people. And I see so many teachers who started in the classroom but then went online. Khan Academy is a great example, started by an educator. There are so many platforms that allow you to teach thousands of students at the same time. And again, this is more or less a recession-proof job. 185,000 high school teacher jobs on Indeed.com. The average salary is unfortunately on the lower end, around $50K a year. But if you're a teacher watching this, I encourage you, I ask you, if you have some free time, just start creating content online. Because again, there are so many you don't have to be artistic or whatever. I know some physics teachers who would just record a video in front of their green board and get hundreds of thousands of views. This is your chance to teach thousands of people, and I admire you guys. Educators are the best. Okay, let's move on. Let's imagine you're an educator and you're like, Marina, that sounds amazing. Let me start teaching online. Let me start expanding my knowledge. Maybe I would have group classes online. Maybe I would have one-on-one classes online. But let me tip into that online education space. And you might be wondering, how do I automate all of this? How do I manage my schedule? AppSumo, a company that helps you do this, is actually sponsoring today's video. So they're basically a marketplace for online apps, and one of the apps that they have there is called TidyCal, which allows you to share your booking pages via links or embedded widgets right on your website. So you can either embed your entire booking page or share individual appointment types. And TidyCal lets you automate and sync all your calendars across Google Calendar, Apple, and Microsoft. If you use Zoom or Google Meet integrations, you would be able to auto-generate the link for the meeting. Plus, they have integration with Stripe and PayPal, so you can just set everything in seconds, start accepting payments, and start teaching online. So with this app, you're building your small online school within minutes. On AppSumo, you can purchase license for this service for only $29 versus $120. And because you're watching this video, AppSumo gives an additional 10% discount to the first 100 people who click the link in the description below. Check out the link below, start building your online business, start thinking about this life as an entrepreneur. You're the boss, you control everything. Let's move on. IT workers. Now here it's interesting. In our modern world, companies would always need high-skilled developers and engineers. Moreover, because we can work from home now, you can be hired internationally. So in our digital world, in general, I think you're pretty safe if you have a job related to IT. There are almost 68,000 software developer jobs on Glassdoor, and software developers' average salary is $110,000 a year. Accountants. My favorite people. I pay thousands of dollars a year. If we talk about a country like Finland, where filing tax is really straightforward, or you're a W-2 worker, then great, you might not need an accountant. But in reality, more and more people are starting side hustles. More and more people start having different structures. They start a 1099 contractor jobs, etc. So a lot of people need a good CPA. The whole creator economy, when I talk to YouTubers, they're like, how can I get a good CPA? Yes, we try to automate a lot of CPA work, but because there are so many unique situations, I think CPAs and bookkeepers will have enough jobs in the future. And by the way, there are 48,000 accountant jobs on Glassdoor right now. 48,000. This is only in the US. The average salary is $96,000 a year. One of the things that I keep saying in this video, this is why my channel is called Silicon Valley Girl, I want you to implement entrepreneurial mindset. When I'm talking about these jobs, I'm not only talking about getting hired by a company. I think we're transitioning to the world where everyone is his own boss, and you don't have to have a team to be your own boss. You can be a freelancer, contractor. Being an accountant gives you this freedom. And I started this channel to inspire you guys to become more entrepreneurial. And even if we talk about a job like an accountant or IT developer, think about how you can make it your own business. Yes, I totally get it. A lot of people want to work for a big company, but if you feel that you want to do something individually, if you feel that you want to choose the clients that you want to work with, that you don't want to have a huge team or a boss about you, you can set up your own accounting firm and work for yourself, maybe hire a couple of assistants to help you. So always try to think bigger. Like, if I become an accountant, can I build my own business out of it? Can I delegate? Because I think the ideal picture for everyone listening this is to retire without having to work and still having a stable income. And this is what your business gets to you. And we live in this amazing world where having a skill doesn't mean you have to necessarily go and work for a big company. Having a skill means that you can start something on your own and still make a living. Social workers, they work in hospitals, they work at schools, they work in human service agencies and more. Most social workers operate in the public sector, which doesn't see wild employment swings even during recessions. The average salary is around $50,000 a year, and right now there are over 100,000 social worker jobs on Indeed.com. Firefighters, fire inspectors, and investigators. These specialists stay busy regardless the economic cycle. The average salary is around $50,000 a year. Grocery store employees. This is a pretty stable job. However, with Amazon Go, Amazon Fresh, they're kind of slowly paving their way to replacing humans at the cashier registers, at checkouts. But the technology is still not there. If you have seen my short video about Amazon Fresh, like there is a cart that automatically checks you out. But the problem is you can't really take this cart to your car. You have to take all the bags and carry everything to your car. And if you do your grocery shopping once a week, that doesn't really work. If it's Amazon Go, where you mostly shop for snacks, it's slightly overpriced, so you won't go there regularly. So the technology is there. Is it at scale? Not yet. Will it be at scale? Oh yes, probably in 10 to 20 years. But if you're like, okay, Marina, I need a job that will get me through the next year without me losing a job, I want the security, and I don't have special education right now, then this is something that you could look into. And if you want a more stable job, I think bigger chains would provide something more stable because they're mostly recession proof. The average salary for a grocery store manager is around $58,000 a year. Mental health professionals. Again, quick example from my life. I'm originally from Russia, and you know what's going on between Russia and Ukraine right now. So when this all started, I couldn't book a session with a therapist because they were overbooked. And I imagine this is what happens during recessions as well. People need help, and this help is real. Like, I don't understand why some people still laugh when you talk about talking to a therapist, etc. I think it's super important. Or mental health. Like, a lot of our problems start because we have problems with mental health. And this is why people start meditating, people start going to therapists, they pay more attention to their mental health. And therapists charge around $90 on average per hour in the US. And there are so many services right now that help you automate the whole booking process. So I think there is actually more demand for therapists during recessions and when things go bad in the world versus when everything goes well. Public transportation workers, again, being employed by public sector is something that provides some job stability. Bus drivers make around $17 an hour. Public utility services, when you think about electric, water, sewage, waste, trash. Again, this is public sector, so guarantees some stability. The average hourly pay for an electrician, for example, is $23. Actuary. So actuary is a professional who helps businesses assess risks, and the demand grows for these professionals during recessions. The average salary for such professionals is around $100,000 a year. If you're just starting your educational journey, look at lawyers and legal professionals. During tough times, the rates of crime, divorce, bankruptcy rates tend to increase, making demand for these professionals even greater. For example, the average salary for a divorce lawyer is around $102,000 a year. Insurance professionals are always in demand. Yes, a lot of things are being automated right now, but people always need insurance for their car, for their home, for their business. An average salary for insurance agent is around $40,000 a year. Pharmacist is another profession on my list. There is more or less recession proof. The average salary is $50 an hour. And the last profession, delivery services, something that you don't need education for, but if you want a stable job for the next few months, this is something you could look at. People always ask for things delivered. A lot of people ask for same-day delivery, so companies are hiring more and more delivery people every day. The average hourly pay is around $15. That was it from me for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video up to the very end, and I hope to see you soon on this channel, and I'm also looking forward to seeing you watching my short videos. Bye-bye.